Okay, Devesh. So let's go ahead with your mock for your upcoming interview of Master of Management at IISc Bangalore. Okay. So first of all, introduce yourself briefly to us.
Good evening, sir. My name is Devesh Dalakoti. I belong to Haldwani in Nainital district, Uttarakhand. I'm a 2021 B.Tech graduate in Industrial and Production Engineering from College of Technology, Panagar, which is in GB Pant University. I've done my schooling from St. Teresa Senior Secondary School, which is again in Haldwani itself and is affiliated to CBSE. For my overall graduation CGPA was 7.33, and for the last 1 year I was preparing for GATE 2022 exam. In my graduation, in my third year, I did a summer internship in Minda Group, Rudrapur. And this was my first on-hand experience inside an industry. There I conducted time study and analysis of switch and on assembly lines. Then in my third year, I did an online training on of SolidWorks 3D design software for Internshala platform. These trainings provided me with essential learnings, which also helped me in completing my B.Tech project, which was design and analysis of 4-way hacksaw machine. Apart from these, I also did an online course on data analytics, which was offered by Google on Coursera platform. On a personal note, I'm an easygoing, hardworking, and a goal-oriented person. In my free time, I like to play badminton, chess, or watch movies and documentaries. I'm highly interested in the domain of management and analytics, and the idea of studying in a prestigious institute like IISc Bangalore, it really excites me. So I would like to explore and build my career by being a part of this prestigious institute, and that is what brings me today. So that's all about me. Thank you.
Okay, so Devesh, so you're from industrial engineering background, right?
Yes, sir.
So what was the purpose? Why did you just appear for GATE? What was your objective?
Sir, my objectives, sir, in my branch through GATE, we can mostly go for higher studies. And sir, my interest was also towards management and studying, or get into higher studies in industrial engineering only. So I gave the GATE exam for this purpose.
So why not you appear for CAT or management examinations if you had such interest?
And those exams, they offer management courses, and the work profile there is mainly marketing, finance, consulting, like that. And I was interested in management courses that cover aspects of industrial engineering as well. Sir, not the management programs that are purely non-technical. I wanted to include some technical aspects also to that, so I got into that. I'm trying to get into this Masters of Management program.
So in which particular domain you want to work in this particular program?
In analytics only, business analytics. In business analytics.
So you want to work in business analytics?
Yes, sir.
Why you have interest in that?
Sir, because I did a course on data analytics recently, and I think I find it interesting, and I think taking up this course would provide me with better opportunities, and I could perform well in this domain.
So can you tell me what is data analytics when you are talking about, very brief?
Sir, data is everywhere around us, and data analytics mainly focuses on asking the right questions about a problem, collecting data through that, and then cleaning it, processing it, analyzing it, and then preparing a solution to that problem out of the data. It is basically the art of data. It is basically the art of making decisions by the help of data.
So okay, so where do you see this application in the industrial setup?
Our industries, use a lot of data and also generate a lot of data throughout the year. in their day-to-day operations, like their sales, their inventory records, and everything. So this data certainly can, when analyzed properly by a data analyst, can either bring out some problems that are there in industry, and through that it can help the industry run more efficiently, or improve the profits of the industry, and so on.
So let's say you're mentioning about, for example, inventory, and let's say the whatever sales that has happened over there, right?
Yes, sir.
So how, let's say you want to make a improvement in the inventory side, how this data can help you and can basically make improvement in that particular segment?
Sir, keeping the track of inventory records, for example, for a long period of time can help us, look into the unnecessary inventories, maybe, which are, not that much of use that we are carrying in our stock, or suppose some of the items we are getting frequent shortages, and we could identify it through analyzing the inventory records of our past, and we can accordingly act or decide which items to put, which items to replace, which items to add, how to manage these items efficiently so that our total costs are minimized and we avoid shortages in future.
Okay. Any other area of interest?
Sir, yes, I am also interested towards supply chain management. This was also a part of my curriculum in industrial engineering.
So what is the supply chain?
The supply chain is basically, it's also known as value chain, and it is basically the entire network or the entire chain from the supplier's end, supplier, that is the raw material supplier's end, to the final retailer end, or to the customer end, we can say. This whole chain connecting these two, it is known as a supply chain.
So how data analytics can help over there in supply chain?
Sir, data analytics can also help there also, because
could you give me an example, like explaining in the COVID situation, right? We had a supply chain problems.
Yes,
how
sir.
could data analytics would have helped over there?
Yes, sir, we did had many supply chain problems. These supply chains were disrupted during the COVID time. So data analytics, sir, through data analytics, we can measure, analyze, through data analytics in supply chain. I think, sir, a direct correlation cannot be established here, I think. Managing supply chain. Sir?
Not useful over here in such situations?
It can be useful, but I think a direct correlation, I'm not getting at it right now. Not able to directly correlate the two things.
Okay.
It can, yes, it surely can be used there also. So like we are getting information from the supplier then, which and the customer then, which items are in demand right now, or which.
Okay, Devesh. So now over to Avinash, sir.
Okay, hello, Devesh.
Yes.
Okay, so let's have some technical discussion. So can you tell me what was your B.Tech project? What did you do in B.Tech project?
Yes, sir. So my B.Tech project was titled Design and Analysis of Four-Way Axon Machine. In this project, we basically designed a portable automated Axon machine, which would eliminate human effort of cutting moderate and small workpieces like PVC pipes, wooden blocks, etc., using electric power. Yes, sir. So in this, first we identified the mechanism which would drive the machine. Then we selected the Scotch yoke mechanism for our purpose, because our purpose was to convert rotary motion out of a motor into reciprocatory motion of hacksaws. So we did that first. Then we designed the basic components, the idea of the machine structure. And then we use SolidWorks 3D design software for our purposes. Okay. We also did static simulation. And finally, we made a 3D animation of the working model.
Okay, so what was the motion of your blade? Was it to and fro kind of motion?
Yes, sir. It was yes, sir, it was to and fro. We can say reciprocating motion.
Yes, it's reciprocating kind of thing.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so what was the difference in? I mean, how is it different from the conventional hexa blades that you make?
A conventional hacksaw blade, you can use a conventional hacksaw blade to cut one workpiece at a time by a
Okay.
worker, but this machine was capable of cutting 4 workpieces simultaneously.
How that?
Sir, we use the Scotch yoke mechanism.
Okay.
The yoke can, it moves to and fro, reciprocating.
Yeah.
We modified it to basically extend the part of the yoke so that four hacksaws can be accommodated into it, and they would run simultaneously.
Okay. Okay, so where you can recommend this machine? I mean, how much was the cost, and can you recommend this one to a small workshop or any industry?
Yes, sir. This machine mainly would have an application in small workshops only, small scale workshops like carpentry shops or other workshops. But in large scale industries, I don't think this will be much useful. And the cost, I think it will be around 10 to 12,000 for this machine.
Okay. So Devesh, now what is metal forming? Can you tell me what is metal forming?
Metal forming?
Yeah.
The metal forming is the process of using a force, using forces to deform a material plastically, cause plastic deformation in the material, and generate the desired shape and size and dimensions that we want, without taking out or removing any material.
Okay. So Devesh, tell me the assumptions that we have in our mind when we are going to perform any metal forming operations. So what assumptions do we have in our mind?
So the first assumption which comes to mind is, I think, volume constancy. The volume of the object or the workpiece remains constant during a metal forming process, because it basically creates plastic deformation by the use of force. It does not remove any material. So first thing is, I think that.
No, that is not an assumption actually. That is actually there. Yeah, that is actually there. Volume constant, it is also there, and plastic deformation, it is also there. But what assumptions do we have basically? Please try to explore.
Assumptions. Sorry, sir. I don't think any. I remember at this time.
Okay. No problem. So you must have heard about the gray cast iron.
Yes, sir.
Right. So do you think is it a good material for the tensile loading?
Gray cast iron, sir. No, sir, I don't think so.
Okay, so why do you have some idea of the microstructural features of this gray cast iron? What do we have inside this that you do not consider it good as a tensile material?
And in gray cast iron, I think due to the relatively higher carbon content, I think it causes brittleness in it, and the microstructure is brittle, so I don't think it will be good for tensile loading.
Okay, so have you heard of ductile iron?
Sorry, sir, I don't.
It is also a type of cast iron, I think.
Sorry, sir, I have not heard about that.
Okay. So Devesh, I would suggest you to read all those things, because in production, that is the major part actually. Why? Because first of all, you have to go through the casting only, so that which is a very basic process.
Yes, sir.
So okay, so let me ask you an example of this. So can you tell me why do we prefer only this cast iron for the engine castings?
Sir, for engine castings?
Yeah.
Sir, because cast iron, I think, has a high melting point, and it can be used to cast low melting point materials like aluminium and other things. So,
no. You are messing up the things actually. I'm asking. You are saying that it has high melting point. Then why do we are using it? Do you think that high melting point is required or the low melting point is required for engine-like castings?
Sir, obviously for casting, sir, if we want to make a die, So that other products can be casted into it, we need a high melting point material to make the die, so that it does not melts away during casting process and fuses with the casting which we want to produce.
Actually, we use sand casting for this. Okay, so I think you must be let me remind you about iron carbide phase diagram. So just remember that and tell me at what carbon percentage you get the cast iron, in which range?
Sorry, sir, I don't remember the exact percentage.
Okay.
But my material science is not that good, sir.
No, it's not material science yet. Actually, we are on the casting. So material science is something before that, actually, if I go into the concepts of nucleation and growth. So have you read those things, nucleation and growth?
Not exactly, sir. Not recently, sir. I read them a long time ago. So, sir, I don't clearly remember.
Okay, okay. So what else? What were your other subjects? What did you, I mean, engineering kind of thing. What did you, yeah.
My engineering was industrial and production engineering. So
yeah,
production, it included casting, welding, metal forming, and other non-traditional machining methods, CNC robotics. And in industrial engineering, we had operations management, which included everything from inventory management, forecasting, PPC, production planning and control, to operations research, etc.
Okay, so why steels are considered as a good material for welding purposes rather than cast irons?
Excuse me, pardon.
Yeah, yeah. Why steels are considered good? I mean, good candidate for welding purposes.
Sir, steel. First reason I think is the strength of the steel. Strength of steel is comparatively higher than cast iron. And secondly, sir, I think it is it on the basis of reactivity while welding. I think the reactivity of steel may be less, so the joint may be better. Welded joint may be better.
Okay, so okay, Devesh. So I'll end up here only, and I have to give you some feedback. Actually, do read those casting concepts. Okay. Do read about steels and cast iron.
Yes, sir.
Right, because I consider it as a very basic or very first, I mean, a very introductory subject for a production engineer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, metal forming operations, metal cutting operations, and finishing operations are on the later part. But first of all, you must be very much clear with your casting. And if I briefly answer your questions that you could not explain basically, so in gray cast iron, you have this graphite in the form of flakes, right? So those flakes have actually very sharp tips and at the end. I hope if you can, I mean, watch that on the internet, that what kind of graphite flakes do we have in this, I mean, flaky kind of graphite we have. So those actually crack, so graphite flake tips act as a stress razor. So that's why we do not use that for the tensile loading, right?
Yes, sir.
And for the engine casting, if you see the range of 2.1% carbon to approximately 4.3% carbon up to eutectic point in this iron carbon diagram, then you will see that it has the lowest melting point rather than that of steels. Melting point for steels, it goes somewhere around, you would say 1500, 1600 degrees centigrade. But for cast iron, it is on the lesser side. So 1100 to 1200 degrees centigrade. That much is required at the eutectic composition. So that's why we want actually a good fluidity for engine casting. Engine casting have lots of grooves and lots of intricate shapes over there for screws and all. I mean, they have lots of grooves and extruded parts in that casting. So it is actually good to get a material in which we could get a very high level of fluidity. So cast iron gives us that.
Okay.
So that's why cast iron is required. And the third question that I asked you, actually the assumptions that we consider in the metal forming is that, first of all, elastic strains are neglected. We do not consider that metal is getting elastically recovered. Elastic strains are neglected. We just only consider that whenever we are forming the metal, it is going into the plastic deformation, right?
Deformation zone, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So also, and we consider that material is isotropic and homogeneous. That is a very basic, I mean, assumption. And third thing is that we neglect actually strain hardening. Okay.
Yes,
so I would like you to brush up your technical concepts, because definitely you're going to be asked like this, even if this interviews of management, but you will be asked about those questions because you have studied this for the 4 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Definitely.
so yeah, so please do brush up all those concepts, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's all from my side.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so Devesh, let me just give the feedback. See, I think since your credentials are related to your Masters of Management, right? See, you have done this. First, is that okay? You have done industrial and production.
Yes,
Your
sir.
B.Tech in industrial production. So definitely, so it means that it is naturally getting correlated with this particular industrial engineering domain, or maybe like management related domain, because this is a kind of a research program, Master of Management. So I think that correlation could be built. So I think you will be able to answer.
Yes,
And
sir.
at the same time, since you have done a course of data analytics also,
Yes,
and
sir.
that you are able to relate it well,
Yes,
that
sir.
what are the areas where you can contribute. And I think he's going to ask you because this is a research program, right?
No, no, not sir, no, not research program, sir. It's
So
Masters of Management, normal program.
okay, so you're using saying that you're showing your interest in business analytics and all that,
Yes, sir.
which is like kind of application of data analytics, right?
Application of data analytics to solve
So
the
definitely
business
he's
problem.
going to ask if you have done some kind of course. He may ask the question and how you will be able to utilize it over there.
Yes, sir.
You have also done the internship, like time study.
Yes,
So
sir. Thanks,
clear
sir.
the topic well. He's going to ask different methodologies that you use to carry out the time study and what basically a kind of contribution that you made over there.
Yes, sir.
That is more important. You carried out the study, but was there any kind of
Result,
output?
output, yes.
Right. So they will be more interested. So we'll say, okay, I have done this kind of study and all that, and
Yes.
that was the outcome. We were able to achieve the results and all that, right? That you need to highlight over there.
Yes, sir.
And supply chain. If you're mentioning the supply chain, then you must have the idea of different concepts of supply chain and all that. What is supply chain and all that?
Yes, sir.
That he is going to ask. And some questions are going to be random, right? Just check your presence of mind. Like I asked, how could you have used data analytics in COVID-19? Particularly in the context of the supply chain when that oxygen,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
oxygen shortage took place. And,
was happening.
so I think nobody had envisaged that kind of situation that it
No,
will
sir.
happen.
It will
So
go
maybe
down
data
that
science
way.
would have helped if we may have analyzed the data in the, let's say, in the in European company we faced European countries we faced that problem the first.
Yes, sir.
The countries aware. So had we analyzed that data, seeing the population size and number of COVID cases that are coming up, and whether that health system, even though we were knowing that health system is not kind of, even despite being good, they were not able to handle the situation.
They were not
Had
able
we
to.
made that best use of the data, so I think we could have predicted in India also, and we may have taken the step.
Yes, sir. The situation
And
have been handled better.
right. So perhaps we went into complacency, and we thought that it will not happen in India.
Yes,
So, but had we used, even the government agencies had used this data properly, I think we would have been able to project some kind of better way. So you need to analyze in that sense. So, okay.
correct.
Definitely we can utilize that data to, and one part is the other part could have been actual implementation, sharing the data, for example, actual availability of the demand and rather than being just putting it on keeping it up to this political parties, one saying that I need this much. Had we made it more transparent and shared that information in a real-time basis, so I think that would have been a better way.
Yes, sir.
So overall, your presentation seems to be okay, and these are the areas where you need to focus, right? So just focus on those areas. So I think it will be better, right?
Can I ask some questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, where do you think, sir, I'm lacking in terms of sir communication?
No, communication-wise, you are okay. I don't see that you're able to express well. So I don't think there is any kind of confidence-wise. I also don't see any kind of issue.
Okay, sir. So these two things are okay.
Okay.
Communication.
But I can see that you have some doubt in your mind that you are lacking in the communication. So you do not have to consider that because you are yourself considering that, I think. Right? So there was no trouble. Do not keep this thing in your mind that you are lagging somewhere. Otherwise, you will get nervous. But if you think that you are good, then you will be confident.
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, Devesh. Rest. Okay. That's all.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Okay, Devesh. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Avinash sir. Okay, good night.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.